Of course, I almost forgot to film an intro for this video. I had lunch, I sat down to edit, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, huh, no intro. Luckily, I'm still wearing the makeup look that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. This is a New Year's Eve makeup look. We're doing a bit of like a gunmetal glossy smoky eye with a really pretty plummy lip. I will leave everything that I used today linked down below for you guys, and let's just jump in. All right, let's get started. So I'm first going to add a bit of the Merit Great Skin Serum. I'm using this one because my skin is particularly dry, but typically I would go in with my Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. That's my kind of go-to for glam makeup. Really any makeup. It is just one of the best primers out there. It does a really good job of smoothing the skin and hydrating the skin. I really like this one if my skin is feeling kind of parched. Leaves a really, really good glow on dull skin. And I also am going to go ahead and prep my lips with the Lawless Forget the Filler Lip Mask. This is my lip prep of choice because it has a bit of a plumper in it, but it's also really moisturizing. It is going to do both, which is why I really like it. Now for foundation, I wanted to go with something with a little bit more coverage, but something that was still relatively thin on the skin. So that's when I always go to the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. It is still one of the best. This one is a little bit dirty, and I have just found that whenever this year I wanted a foundation that lasted a really long time, but was also quite thin on the skin, but also not too drying, I would almost always reach for this one. It's just a perfect glam base for people that don't like a really heavy look on their skin. And today I'm using a dry sponge for the maximum amount of coverage. I feel like this look is going to be really fun because you guys don't get to see me do like more of my full glam often, so I'm really excited. I think my review of this foundation is one of the first reviews that I did this year. This foundation really like came out of the gate with a freaking bang. NARS was like, it is 2022. I cannot wait for Best of Beauty 2022 videos to start coming out. I am certainly going to be using some of the products that I'll be mentioning in that video, in today's video. I'd love to know your guesses, if you have any guesses of what my products are going to be. Okay, we are pretty well blended, so I'm going to go ahead and do my typical routine, which is the Kosas Revealer Concealer under the eyes, and while that is sitting for a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and do my brows. This is 3.5 in the Precisely My Brow pencil. Definitely focusing today more on a long wear look, because who on New Year's Eve wants to worry about their makeup? I want to worry about my next glass of champagne. I wonder if Andy Cohen is going to get drunk this year for New Year's Eve. I really hope so, because really when you're watching like the ball drop, and if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, just look up Andy Cohen New Year's Eve. I feel like that was one of the more entertaining things I've seen on television in a while. All right, I'm going to wait to set my brows and go ahead and blend out the concealer. Speaking of concealer, did you guys see the new Rare Beauty eye brighteners? I would love to try them out. I thought I was on Rare Beauty's PR list, but I never got the highlights, so I'm not sure if they took me off or what's going on there, but I definitely want to try it out. Concealers are still one of my favorite products to try out, even though I always go back to the Kosas. It's still a category that I love to try out because I'm just like so interested in finding the best one. And when I find the best one, I'm gonna stick with it, but that doesn't mean I don't want to try other ones. Now let's go ahead into the face. I am going to do a lot of layering here because again, I really want things to last long. So first I'm going to use a bit of the NARS Laguna Bronzing Cream, and this is the shade 01. I still can't figure out why the shade 01 works for me, but the first shade that they put out didn't work for me. I'm still like kind of confused about it. Like the formulation itself like did not want to stick to my skin, but this shade in the same formulation like blends really nicely and looks good. So I just don't know what the issue is. but I haven't used this one in a while, so I wanted to bring it back out. I'm gonna do like a decent amount of bronzing today, a bit on my neck as well, because when I go glam, I like a lot of shape, and also I just feel a little bit, or have been feeling a little bit sallow. Faking a bronze is like the easiest way for me to give myself, you know, a little pick-me-up. And these just blend so perfectly with each other. I mean, the skin itself looks really good. I might still do powder, but I might skip. Honestly, that bronzing step took so little time, it's kind of insane. I was initially going to do like a festive holiday kind of makeup look, but then I realized that the only thing that would really change between this look and a festive holiday look is the shade of eye topper that I'm going to use. And since like New Year's Eve is upcoming and like the holiday parties are starting to wind down, I figured I would do the New Year's Eve look, but we'll get to the eyes and I'll show you guys those two shades that I would just transfer out. I might do a bit of pinpoint powdering later, but I think for now I'm just going to set my bronzer with my Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt bronzer in the shade Light. You guys know that is like my main tip for you guys for long wear makeup, is using thin layers and setting your blush and bronzer with a powder blush and bronzer. Like using the cream, adding a lightly pigmented product right on top, and you will be good to go. And this bronzer is like perfect for that. And by the way, I've been using the BK and Angie Hot and Flashy brushes. Really, all of the brushes that I've been trying from BK, I've just been super impressed with. And for blush, I'm going to stick with powder blush. Now, if I was being like super extra, I would use a cream and then a powder blush on top, and then a blush to highlight like right on the top of the cheekbones. But I think maybe 2 is okay too. So I'm going to be using the Dolly blush from Buxom. You guys know this is one of my favorite blushes ever. And it's a powder, so I mean, that says a lot. So beautifully luminous. I mean, look at that color. It is such a pretty mauvey pink, but there's also just a touch of a warmth. It doesn't go too purpley on me, which I really like, because some more mauvey colors just don't always flatter me. And this shade is just so freaking pretty. And I'm gonna use quite a bit of blush just because the eyes are a bit dark. So I really want to take this opportunity with the cheeks to really add that bright pop. I'm going to use now the Clinique Pansy Pop as my blush highlight. And what I mean by that is that it's just going to give this extra little pink pop. It's not going to look purple. You can see. Just adding that right here. It just adds this nice little bright pinched sort of cheek look. A little bit on the bridge of the nose. And that is a pretty blush look. And everything, like the base looks so perfected, but we were still able to give, you know, more of that youthful cheek look. I feel like a lot of glam makeup is lacking in the blush department. Okay, so I think we should get into the eyes. I wish I had some sort of clip to pin back my hair, but I'm just gonna be fussing with it the whole time instead. For the base, I'm going to be using this new shadow from Kjaer Weis. It is the shade Smolder. And I think that this is actually like legitimately a new shade that they recently came out with. I just picked it up. I think I'm just gonna use my fingers because what the heck. And look at this color. Oh my gosh. With this sweater, oh my god. It is so pretty. And I'm just putting this right onto the lid, and then we're going to blend it into the crease. So this is going to act as like a base and also a transition. I got another shade from Kjaer Weis that I didn't like. It was the like more dark green one. I was really excited for that one, but the texture is completely different than the other Kjaer Weis cream shadows that I've tried. So I don't know what was going on with it. Maybe I got a dud, because this formula is what I'm expecting. Just that creamy, dreamy cream eyeshadow that just has this really pretty kind of satin finish. There's no real shimmer to it, but there's this pretty kind of light reflection thing that happens. Very soft and pretty. And again, just taking this into the crease a bit And if you haven't checked out my recent video where I talked about how I do my eye makeup with my deep set eyes or generally hollow eyes, then you might be wondering why I am not taking the shadow all the way in. It's one of the key things that I do is not take my eyeshadow all the way in because of my deep set eyes. It really opens them up when there isn't so much definition there, because I already have like some definition going on naturally with, you know, my eye shape. So not leaning into those shadows in here and accentuating them is what I'm trying to do. I'm gonna take just a little bit more. Where'd that shadow go? I'm just gonna take a little bit more on a fluffy brush and just kind of fluff that a little bit higher. The BK 202 brush, and before I was using the Sephora Pro 18. It feels really good to just do like a tutorial and just do my makeup with you guys. I don't think I mentioned this, but I actually had like a very small little Christmas shindig. Just a few people kind of came over last minute, but I did not give myself enough time to do everything that I needed to do. I mean, first of all, my house was a wreck, so that took like pretty much all day. Around like 6 o'clock, I called my friend and I was like, yeah, you know how I told you I might need your help getting things ready? She was like, yeah. I'm like, can you come over? Because it was an hour and a half to my party and I had not even started cooking, and I had not showered, done anything. Like with my hair, my makeup, nothing. So yeah, I was about 15 minutes late to my own party. And I didn't get to do like the full look that I wanted to do. So this is definitely making up for it. I had that kind of itch to, you know, play around. Do something a little bit more glam. I'll tell you what, guys. This Smolder shade from Kjaer Weis is so beautiful, especially with Dolly from Buxom. I just feel like they're playing so prettily off of each other. Like definitely a little bit of like a monochromatic look. I am pumped. But we are gonna go a little smokier now. And the shades that I was talking about, if I wanted to do something more holiday, then I would go ahead with Victoria Beckham Velvet, which I did wear to my Christmas party. You can see I like just jabbed my freaking finger in there and like swiped it on my lid and I was pretty much done. So highly recommend this for like a one and done for a holiday look. And honestly, with like all of this, it's pretty. But for New Year's Eve, I think we have to go with something a little bit smokier, which is Victoria Beckham Mink. So we're gonna go in with Mink. I am gonna do a costume change, maybe, if I can figure out something festive to wear. So I'm going to go ahead just with my finger and add Mink right onto the outer corners mostly. And then we'll do some blending in a second, really concentrating that color out here. Again, because we want to be able to control how much of that smoky shadow is getting towards the inner corners. And now just going ahead and patting and blending that in. I think I'm gonna go for a little bit of structure out here on the outer corner, but I'm not immediately concerned about getting it. Right now I'm just kind of trying to blend everything in. And I'm seeing Mink like really stick down to that Kjaer Weis shadow, which is exactly what I wanted it to do, because that's really going to help everything last longer. I think Smolder from Kjaer Weis would also go really beautifully with Tea Rose and Velvet. I just feel like this shade is so versatile. I haven't used Mink alone in like a full look yet, so this is kind of exciting for me. It has this just gorgeous kind of gunmetal look that I find really sexy for a smoky eye. I just love how it has this undone quality to it because it also looks pretty glossy. Now, one of my favorite underrated tools are one of these like little sponges, sponge tip applicators. I love to use these for blending. I just kind of slowly tap any of this color that I have over here and slowly start to bring it in. And I just find that it really helps to not like create any fallout, which I think some brushes can do. And I love the way when you sheer out this Mink shade, I don't know if you guys can see right in the inner corner, you start to see a little bit of that slightly pink kind of base come out. Also complemented by a Smolder from Kjaer Weis. So I'm like really starting to see everything kind of come together here. I don't know why, but this combo of colors, it's just bringing me back to like some sort of 90s look. And I don't know what exactly I'm thinking. It's like bringing Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or like that's what it's like bringing up in my head. Or I don't know where I would have been exposed to this kind of makeup look. Can you guys see that? I'm like, whoa, it just, oh my god, the combo of these, I can't get over it. I am gonna do a little bit more blending, but I think first I wanna do a little bit of a liner. So I'm going to use Rockstar from Urban Decay, and this is more purpley. And I think that it's gonna complement everything and just not be quite as harsh as a typical black would be. So I always like to kind of draw on that liner in a bit of a wing shape. And then I go ahead and I blend it out. By the way, guys, so I got, where is it? The Soft Cashmere palette from Dior. Maybe I'll use a little bit of this. I don't know, we'll see. But this is the sponge applicator that came with it. And it is like next level sponge applicator. I mean, for what you pay, you'd hope so. Yeah, there's one that has more of a tip to it. And just look at how nice and clean it makes that. You know what? I think I am going to use a little bit of the Soft Cashmere palette just because it's in front of me. I just really, really dig it. I think I'm going to add a little bit of this middle shade into the crease. It's not quite matte. It's definitely more satin, but I think that that kind of goes with the overall vibe. I think I just added a little depth there that I think was missing. And it's nice. I think it's bringing out a little bit of the rosiness that this look does have. Now that I'm seeing kind of the eyes and the way the eyes are going, I do think I'm gonna use a little bit of powder just to further kind of accentuate the glossiness of the eyes, if that makes sense. I think I'm gonna use a little bit of this shade right here to press on, not all the way into the inner corner, but like right in here a little bit, just to kind of like blend things out. Yeah, I think that that worked well. Yeah, I think that that did a good job of kind of adding a little bit more gradient to the inner portion of the eye without kind of overwhelming that space. Now, before we do mascara, I am going to powder. I'm going to use this A506 brush from BK. You guys, I used this last night all over to just blend in concealer, and this is freaking beautiful. You can see it has that slant, so it kind of emulates the kind of finger tapping motions that I like to do. So it's really perfect for setting and blending concealer. But I'm just going to take a little bit of my Givenchy Prism Libre Rose Powder. I'm going to set the under eyes a little bit. Forehead, you can see this does a good job of kind of highlighting the face as well. A little bit on the jawline. Okay, that's looking good. And now I'm going to go ahead, tight line with the Urban Decay. I think for mascara, I want to use the Tower 28 Make Waves, just because it does a really good job of building on itself. And I really want to have that control to be able to get a super big lash without it getting too clumpy on me, because I think I'm gonna skip lashes. I'm just being real here, guys. Like on New Year's Eve, I just don't think I'm gonna want to wear lashes. I don't want to worry about them. Gosh, this mascara is just so freaking good, and it lasts really, really well on the lashes too. So again, focusing on making everything last long until the new year. I'm gonna take a little bit of this brown on the lower lash line just to add a touch of some definition here. And if you feel like you added too much, like I feel like this side there's more than this side, you can always take your setting powder and kind of just diffuse a little bit. Going to set the brows as well. What a difference brow gel makes. I do not know how people go without it. For lips, I'm going to take off any of the excess of the lip mask, but I want to leave a bit on just to like keep my lips like fully hydrated. And for liner, I'm going to use the Love Triangle liner from e.l.f. These are some of my faves. They're so easy for me to get a crisp line. I'm gonna fill in a little bit just for, you know, longevity. And now for the lips, one of my favorites of the year, which is L'Avenue from Merit. And just for a finishing touch, I'm going to use the Professional Super Setter from Benefit. This just, I always like to describe this as a finishing powder, but in like a setting spray. Just adds this blur. And you know what? I'm gonna keep on the sweater because I feel like the sweater goes well with the eyes. But yeah, guys, this is my New Year's Eve festive party arty look. I might do a little gold hoop as well. There you go. I think that added a little something. So again, this is very long wearing and polished, but it doesn't sacrifice, I think, a kind of skin-like look in person. I love the eyes. I love this kind of slightly plummy, rosy gunmetal thing that we have going on. I'll leave all the products that I used today down below for you guys. I'm wishing you an amazing new year, an amazing holiday season. Really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you in my next one.